Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hello, welcome, everybody. Ooh, wow, I got some serious bags under the eyes today. Well, I took a nap. That's probably it, right? We'll go with that. So, hello, welcome. We're going to see where today goes. That's what we're going to do. Because when I was contemplating the topic, I was just kind of shooting off into a few different directions. So we will see. We will see what information would like to come through today. So, I'll lean in with elevating our consciousness. This is See, this is what I mean, where I'm getting so much information all at once. So I'm gonna try to ground here and just start from a very grounded place and kind of go off into the maybe more broader spiritual concepts off of that. The spiritual evolution, as I see it, has been picking up a lot of speed. I've been saying that for several years now, and it just is, man. It just it just is. And the more work I do on myself, the more I see it implemented. Of course, the more I implement it into my own life, the more I see it in my own life. That's how it works. And that's what we need to, I think we need to really understand what implementation is, because we use that word and we go, well, on this spiritual path, especially this new age spirituality, the spiritual path as opposed to the religious path. I'm seeing a lot of people turn to the religious paths, and I think there's many reasons for that. And I've actually even been leaning into, how do I phrase this? Leaning into organized religious teachings more lately. Not that I'm leaning into organized religion. I'm just looking at organized religion's teachings more often. And what I'm seeing is that if I stay focused on the spiritual meaning, not necessarily the stories, dismissing some of the things that don't make sense to me as far as how the organized religion, like I'll give you an example. In organized religion, there are many times in Christianity and other religions too, that God is represented as very egoic, punishing. In one way they'll say, well, God sees into our hearts, which I believe is true. But then in another way it says, well, God's going to test you. It's like, well, why would he have to test me if he sees into my heart? So to me, there's misinterpretations. To me, and this is just how I look at it. I'm not trying to convince anybody else. This is hopefully. So if you're really identified with an organized religion, I think that that's wonderful. I think that there's lots of benefits that come to that. I think when organized religion as well as spirituality is used to do what it's supposed to do, which is enhance our conscious contact with our creator, the one creator, I think we start embodying love more. We start embodying compassion. We start embodying mentalities and interacting with life through the teachings such as, love your neighbor, and that we are all brothers and sisters, and that we are all one. Like these are religious teachings. And I think a lot of times people will use religious teachings to separate, be like, well, no, you have to think this way or else you're wrong. And it's like, well, I think you're missing the point of the teaching. Like, I just do. And that doesn't mean that that's the truth. That just means that that's my perception of it. It's, I perceive when somebody says love your neighbor, that means I treat them with respect and love, regardless of it. It doesn't say love your neighbor if they think the way you think. It doesn't say that. It just says love your neighbor. So if I love my neighbor, then I have compassion for my neighbor. I don't try to control my neighbor. Control isn't love. God gave us free will, right? So why? So we can freely choose God. So why do we as people think we're supposed to go tell everybody else what to think? Like that. So God can't tell us what to think. God understands that free will is choice, and love is based in choice. So if God thinks that, why are we above God? We know the truth, and we're going to make you believe it. I don't see that. So like I said, this is just my opinion. And if I really want to embody what I perceive as true spirituality, if I want to embody what I believe to be Jesus's teachings, if I want to embody what I believe were Buddha's teachings and Shiva's teachings and Muhammad's teachings and Abraham's teachings, and all the great philosophers and prophets throughout the ages, if I want to embody those things, then I need to embody the energy and the quality of the principles in which they were saying. I think we take things too literally, it's just, like when they say go, go out and preach the gospel. It's like, yeah, I mean, hell, that's what I'm doing. It's, many people might disagree with that, but in a way, I think I am representing that, and I am teaching the same things that are in the Bible, and that Jesus taught, and that God wants for us, and all that stuff. So that's my own version of it, but it doesn't mean, like, everything is energy, right? So if we are talking about something and we are trying to convince somebody else of something else, of what we believe, then that is manipulation energy. If we're trying to get people to believe the same way that we believe, now this is different than trying to get them to understand us. We all want to be heard. We all want to be understood. So taking thought to think about what you're saying and to try to say it the right way so somebody understands you, that's fine. But if your goal is to convert them or get them to think the way you're thinking, then that's manipulation energy. God didn't use manipulation energy. Why do we have the right to use manipulation energy? And this is most of the time it doesn't work because people can feel energy, right? This is how I say things to people all the time, my clients mostly, where if anybody else said that to them, they'd freak out. But I'm saying it out of love without judgment, and they can feel that, and then sometimes they test it, sometimes no matter how much I say, I'm not going to judge you. Like, we live in a very judgmental world. So people still think I'm going to, and they get nervous to talk to me about things sometimes. I'm like, but what's nice is that they land in a safe space and they find out that I'm not going to judge them and that I've probably done 10 times worse in my previous life. So the non-judgment comes across. So that's, I guess this is what I'm getting at. We really have to embody the principles we say that we're teaching. Okay. That's what we have to do. We have to, each one of us, not Christianity, not Buddhism, not nothing else, not your neighbor, not your friend, not more people. Oh my God, if I hear one more time, I wish more people thought like you, or I wish more people were thought this way, or I wish more people. Why? Like, all you got to do is worry about yourself. If you embody these principles, you will get the benefits of these principles in your life. Don't worry about changing the world. You can't even figure out how to walk through a day peacefully, and you're going to go change the world. Stop worrying about the world. Focus on you. Maybe that's where we need to start, right? So we have to embody the principles. We have to be love. We have to act lovingly. We have to stop judging our neighbors. We have to, like, all the things that we teach, they're just basic principles. We have to do those things very simply. We don't have to rationalize or explain why what we're doing is actually an example of that. If you have to explain it, it's probably not. Because that's not, a foundational principle is free will. Loving your neighbor. Period. So right there, that tells you you cannot try to control and manipulate other people. What other people are thinking and doing is none of your business. Love them anyway. Just love them anyway. Fill your heart with love. Every time, this is, so I guess now I'll lean into, maybe that was the preface. I'll lean into the heart space that led to this podcast, because that's really what it was. It's just, I'm implementing more and more and in different ways and more principle based and all this stuff. And I'm loving it. It's just, I feel more connected than ever. And it's wonderful. And it's not like in 21 years ago when I had all these spiritual awakenings. That was intense and amazing and wow. I mean, but now it's not so much like that. It's just an embodiment of probably what I've supposed to be embodying in the last 21 years. Just doing it better, you know, or the spiritual shift that is more and more people are leaning in this direction, which affects our vibrational rate, which, love vibrates at a different rate than hate. So more of us that are leaning into spirituality, more of us that are working on ourselves, having these conversations, dabbling with self work or spirituality or religion or all of them. Like, the more of us that are doing that, it's lightening the atmosphere and making the atmosphere that much more conducive to change. So it's making it easier. This is part of the spiritual shift. So it's just, the more I lean in and just simplify everything and just be love, like I went down to Cabarete, to the beach a couple times this week, or the town by the beach a couple times this week, for some errands and some stuff. And when I'm driving, I'll just drive down, and every person I see on the street or in another car, I'll just look at them and just for a moment and just be like, oh, there's another expression of God. Look at God expressing itself that way. Oh, what a glorious expression of God that is. Oh, wow, another one. And look, they're so individualized. That one doesn't seem anything like that one, but they're both expressions of God. They're both eternal souls. How beautiful is that? And just doing that with literally everyone you see, it's, do that instead of thinking what you need to get done. You know what you need to get done. Like, I'm going down there to run errands. I know what errands I need to run. Or at least the next one. If I got to run 5 errands, maybe this is a little glimpse into my mind. Like, I tell people that, I have to work on myself too. And that the way people's minds work, that everybody's minds work very similarly. It's not rocket science. It's just, we're habitual and we're caught up in our heads too much. So when I'm caught up in my head too much on an average day, we'll say, like, if I have 5 errands to run, do you know how many times I will replay those 5 errands in my head? Like, I'd be like, okay, and figure out what order I'm going to do them in. And like, oh, okay, well, yeah. And then I could go there. Well, and then if I'm running late, then maybe I'll skip that one. I'll put those at the end of, like, all this stuff. That's what I'm spending my mental energy doing while I'm driving half the time, instead of, or distracting myself with music, which, don't get me wrong, I mean, I think playing some music while you're driving sometimes is really fun, and it can make it a really enjoyable ride. I drive in silence probably 90% of the time. I have for many, many, many years. But I've been listening to music a little bit more, and I use it for purposes. Sometimes I listen to God-centered music just to keep that message going in my head. There's a vibrational rate to God music too, like religious music or whatever, spiritual music, whatever you want to call it. Anything. I mean, I have playlists that are very spiritual based, no specific denomination. I have I like Krishna Das chanting and stuff. I love that. That's got a very and other, not just Krishna Das, but others too, and I like the vibrational rate of that. Like, if I'm in a bad mood and I put on one of these playlists, a religious playlist, I've got a Christian playlist, like, that a friend gave me. So, like, I listen to this stuff that mostly, and then every once in a while I'll listen to some old 80s music or 70s music or whatever else I feel like, and get lost in it for a while and play the air drums. So, you can do all that stuff, but but I don't do it unconsciously, like, what do I feel like doing? I just feel like not thinking about anything and getting lost in some 80s music that I grew up with and just jamming out. Oh, okay, cool. So I'll do that, you know? But more often than not, it's either silence or spiritual stuff. To, you know, if I'm having a bad day, if I'm in a negative mood, oh my God, put on my Tranquilo playlist and get that vibration of beautiful music going through the car, you know, or the house. So, you know, I try to use it as a tool is my point. But so driving, listening to specific music, you know, seeing everyone as an expression of God, like all this stuff, this is, I think, what we need to do on a regular basis. Like I'm, you know, like I said, I don't consider myself any particular religion, but like I got this bracelet that's cool. It's got this little thing that you scan with your phone and it pulls up a scripture reading. I'm like, how cool is this? You know, I thought, you know, like, so anyway, it just gives me something else to do through my day to bring me back to God, to remind me what's important, to live out of the vibration of love. And the more that I do that, the better space that I'm in, the better mood I'm in. You know, like I was working on a book earlier today and I didn't get that much sleep last night. So I was tired. And and that is the main thing that will affect my mood, being tired. My body does not, my mind does not like being tired, man, at all. So, I mean, I can, you know, some people get hangry. I don't know, we'll create tired, angry, tangry, tangry. I don't know. Well, anyway, whatever it is, I get it. So I have to be really careful, especially when I'm tired. And then I took a nap, like I had said, and I woke up and that helped a little bit, but sometimes I have a tough time waking up if I take a nap. So I'm very cautious about monitoring my mood afterwards. And I was like, so I was just, as soon as I woke up, I'm like, feed myself love, God, get onto that wavelength, get onto that vibrational frequency. And that's really a good example. I didn't know I was going to say this, but that's a good example of what we're doing. We're basically tuning in. This must be why I was talking about the radio earlier or the music earlier. What we're doing is we're tuning our vibration into the vibration of love, vibration of God, whatever you want to call it. That's what we're doing. We're aligning ourselves with the vibration of a particular energy. And as I was doing that, so I'm working on a book and I was trying to accomplish some things and I look at it and it wasn't accomplished like really at all. It didn't accomplish what I was trying to accomplish. And I started laughing. And I started making a correction. And then my consciousness caught the fact that I was laughing while I was making the adjustment. And it was like, yeah, you know, you're in good space because something just happened that I didn't want to happen. And I laughed. That's such a good sign. Like, it's one of the best signs. You know, this is one of the reasons why this podcast is called Life Lessons in Laughter. I mean, I've always had the sense of humor, getting class clown all through school and all this stuff. But, you know, it's when I'm in good space, that laughter is flowing regularly. And the sense of humor is heightened because it's a part of my personality. So I'm a better version of myself when I'm connected. You know, and there's a chapter in my book about spiritual laughter, which I think is important because, see, spiritual laughter, there's no judgment in spiritual laughter. Spiritual laughter often comes, and I guess I just did a version of it when I found that you know, something that in the book that I'm working on, that I'm working on a 365 daily reading book. So this book that I'm working on, when it didn't, what I was trying to do didn't get accomplished, and I started laughing. That's a version of it because there's no judgment in it. I say all the time, there's a difference between assessment and judgment. There's no judgment deems it as good or bad. It just didn't accomplish what I was trying to accomplish. There's no judgment. It wasn't good or bad. If I were to have judged it, it would have been bad because it didn't do what I wanted it to do. So that's bad. So then it would have probably conjured up some level of frustration, right? That comes through judgment. But if I'm not judging, I'm just assessing. No, that's not what I wanted it to do. No judgment, just assessment. It really wasn't what I wanted it to do. So now I have to find another way to accomplish what I was trying to accomplish. On to solution. No judgment. Simple assessment. On to the next solution. With laughter. Because who cares? Who cares? Who cares that a little thing didn't work out exactly the way that I wanted it? Just find another way to do it. That's life. And this is how I walk through life. This is what I guess this is a main point of what I'm trying to get across in this podcast, quite honestly, is we go through life. I'm talking about everyday life. We go through life so stressed out, so unconscious, so judgmental, just and all the other little negative tweaks, worried, all that, just the way we walk through life regularly is like, and I'm just talking when nothing's wrong. Like on an average day where nothing's really wrong, we're experiencing levels of stress and unhappiness and discontent that aren't, they're not so much where they're overtaking our consciousness, right? That we're not walking around going, oh my God, I had a crappy day. No, it's not. But like, look at your average day where nothing particularly went wonderfully well. Nothing particularly went wonderfully bad. It was just an average day. What was the energy you were walking around in most of that day? I think that is what we need to pay attention to. Our baseline, we need to up our baseline. Maybe that's what I'll name this podcast. I think I'm going to change the name. We need to up our baseline. Just how we walk through our average day needs to go up. Because like not in extreme suffering seems to be the benchmark right now. I mean, and it's even reflected with how we, with how we talk. Oh, how's life? Busy. How's things? Not bad. How you doing? Hanging in there. Oh my God. Like that's why we're here. To hang in there, to get by. Like, is that what you're going to put on your tombstone? I got by. And, sometimes I wonder because like, it's pretty clear that I'm not normal. It's always been pretty clear for many different reasons. But like, I was thinking about this a few weeks ago. I was thinking about like how cool it is living over here in the Dominican Republic up in the mountains. Like I just love it, man. It's so peaceful and the people are so friendly and there's just lots of things I like about it. Personally, the freedom and I was thinking about it. I'm like, why don't more people do that? Like, why don't more people just do that? I mean, it's so easy. I literally just picked up and moved over. I mean, it was so easy. And I'm wondering why, so I'm thinking to myself, why don't more people do that? And then I'm like, well, Glenn, let's be realistic. I mean, a lot of people have, really, they're more enmeshed with their family than you are. I moved away when I was in my early 20s. I've always been very independent, blah, and then I moved back up north. My parents moved down south part of the year. And I mean, we're in a lot more contact than we were, but my point is that, like, I'm not so enmeshed in my family's lives, but lots of people are moving away from their families nowadays, and families are more spread out than they used to be. So it's like, there's some flexibility there. And I only have one son, it's me and my son. As long as my son is okay, like, I'm good. I'll focus on me. My parents know how to take care of themselves. I mean, of course, if they need me, I'm there. But, my sister and her husband know how to take care of themselves. And, I think everybody knows that I'm there if they need me. But I've never been enmeshed in their lives in a daily life, in a daily way throughout my life. I mean, since I was a kid, probably by the time I was 14, I was off, man. I was off doing my own thing since I've been 14 years old. So there's this level of independence that makes it a little easier for me. So I understand that, and having my own business, working from home, like, that freed me up a lot. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's probably why people don't just pick up and move to the Dominican Republic or to Thailand or wherever else. Like, because it's not quite as easy for them, right? And I get that. So I mean, there's certain aspects of my life that are not normal. So maybe everybody can't just pick up and move to the Dominican Republic. I mean, but people were almost as shocked when I just picked up and moved to Florida with my son after living in Rhode Island for 14 years. I mean, I had lived there 10 years before. I didn't see what the big deal was, I had moved from Massachusetts to Florida, and then from Florida to Rhode Island, and then moving back to Florida where I had friends and knew the area. Like, I was like, no big deal. But that's a big deal for some people, which is fine. Okay. Like, I'm not trying to turn people into me, but the point of all that is like, when I look back in my life, like, there's some quote, it's something about, and I think there's actually two quotes, because I think Bear Grylls said something like this, and then there was somebody else that has a famous quote about it too. And it's something about, like, at the end of life, I want to come sliding in sideways, just beaten, and this body just beaten and battered, and sliding in going, wow, what a ride. Like, that's kind of how I want to do it. I'm here to live. I'm not here to play it safe. I'm not here to not do things that are difficult or challenging. Ooh. And I think we're too hung up on safety and stability. And I mean, there's a place for safety and stability. I don't think we should throw it out, but I think that we need to bring in some living a little bit more and doing what we enjoy more. There needs to be a better balance, and so while we can, whatever you enjoy, man, do you like bike riding? Do you know how many people enjoyed bike riding when they were kids and haven't ridden a bike in 40 years? Many. That's what I mean. Like, get a bike, man. Go. Just go for a bike ride once a week. It's not that big of a deal. Incorporate this stuff into our lives. But more importantly, okay, this is, I'm putting the cart before the horse a little bit. More importantly, it's to work on our insides, because we find ourselves doing those things more when we feel alive. when we feel connected, when we feel safe. Like this is like, I can walk from my house down to the river, and through a wooded path. And there's a part of me that was so disconnected from nature for so many years that like I can be like, oh my goodness, am I going to step on something? Or, oh my goodness, am I going to get stung by a bee? Oh my goodness. And I can get fearful of that stuff. And like, whenever I feel some level of fear like that, maybe it's not even a formed thought. Maybe it's just a general something could happen. Like I can I try to monitor my energy so I can kind of catch that if like a lot of times. So I'll just be sitting there, all of a sudden, I'll feel this little apprehension or something. And I'll be like, whoa, hey, I'm safe. I'm safe. I'm in God's arms. Like I'm good. Mother Nature's got me. Like God wants me to be out in nature. Why would I get hurt? I'm safe. Everything's fine. And I'll just remind myself of that. And after doing that time after time, now most of the time I don't have to do that. And if that old recording pops up and I have to do it, that little apprehension goes away very quickly. But this, like, my point is doing this stuff all the time. And it sounds like, we equate everything with work. And I think we have to stop doing that with this, on this spiritual path that we're on. It's not work. It's pleasurable. Walking through the woods, enjoying nature, feeling connected to it, and love flowing through your heart is enjoyable. So if you need to have a little conversation with yourself several times to get yourself used to it and to remind yourself that you're okay and that you're safe, then that's fine. Then it's worth it. Like we're so conditioned to not do anything that makes us feel uncomfortable. Oh, I'm tired. I'm very busy at work and I'm very busy. So I don't have the energy to change the way I look at nature. Oh, all right. Sorry to bother you. I was, it's like unconsciously, this is how we think. Like, no, I have to accomplish things and be responsible. And it's not that we abandon accomplishing things or abandon being responsible. I am much more responsible. I accomplish 10 times more when I'm connected. This is what I'm trying to explain. When we are connected, I don't care what you call it, connected to God, connected to love, connected to spirit, connected to the universe, in a vibration of love, tuned into the vibration of love, whatever you want to call it, when you are in that space, everything is better. Your life is better. Your mood is better. Your energy is better. Your thoughts are better. The way you interact with people are better. Everything's more enjoyable. Your sense of humor is better. Your mood is better. Your parenting is better. Your being an employer is better. Your being an employee is better. Your being a child is better. Your being a friend is better. Everything is better. And I think what we're trying to do is we're trying to work on, I want to be a good father. I want to be a good mother. I want to be a good worker. I want to be a good boss. I want to be a good, and it's like, just be connected, man. That's all you have to do. See, the space we're in, the energy we're in, the consciousness that we are in, the vibration that we are in determines everything. This is why when you're in a bad mood and somebody says, isn't it a great day? And you just want to choke them. Why? They didn't say anything wrong. They didn't do anything wrong. They're not wrong. They're not bad. So why? It's because it didn't match your vibration. It was like oil and water, and it fell off and it felt wrong and you just didn't like it. This is when you're in a vibration of love, everything that vibrates at love finds you. It's the way you look at life. When you make when something doesn't work out the way you want it to, like I was talking about the book earlier, instead of getting frustrated, you laugh. That's not because I rewired my neural pathways. You know, rewiring our neural pathways is really cool, and it's really interesting, and it's really wonderful that we can do that. But I think it's a good example of us going, oh, I'm going to rewire my neural pathways, like whatever, man. Just like you want to know the best way to rewire your neural pathways, to monitor the space that you're in, to be in a good freaking mood every day. That's how. How do you do that? You choose it. You choose to think of your connection to your creator. You choose to think of love. You choose to see other people as representations of that. You choose to love instead of get angry. You choose your mood. Surround yourself with it. Pipe in that beautiful vibrational music that can lift your mood all the time. Get bracelets that you can read scripture from. Get tattoos of love stuff to remind you. And it was my evolutionary one. Yeah. Those of you, our evolution. Those of you watching on video can see that. I've just got all spiritual tattoos, so. But, it's a reminder to me. My shirt, be kind, inside of a heart. That, like, here, I have the third step prayer here framed right on my desk. Like, there's spiritual stuff all around me, everywhere. Why? Because I want it everywhere, because it's the foundation of my experience. That's why. And the more I make it a foundation of my experience, the better my experience is. This is what is meant by worship no false gods before me, or whatever the phrasing is. We have to put love first. I'm trying to be non-denominational. Whatever you believe in, I don't give a crap what it is or what you call it, but put God first. And we have to actually live like that. So, this is we're getting towards the end of the podcast. This is good because I think it kind of brings it back home. I talked about a lot of things, and it's whatever we put above God is a problem. It all boils down to that. We have to have God first. We have to have God first, love first, whatever you want to call it, the universe first, whatever you believe in, that is love, that is safety, that is eternal, that is omnipresent and omnipowerful, that you can lean into and put your faith and your trust in, and that's bigger than you. Like that has to come first. And we generally do not live like that. I mean, even me on the spiritual path, if I'm honest, have I lived in a way where God was the primary thing in my day every day for the last 21 years? Absolutely not. Not even close. And I live more of a spiritual existence than most people I know. But that's all changing. Why? Because I guess, I got sick of playing around. I got sick. I have a really good life, and I've had a very good life for 21 years. Before that, it was a lot of suffering. But for the last 21 years, I've had a wonderful life. It hasn't been easy. Custody battles, constant family court, single parenting, starting a business on my own with nothing, and other things that I've been through. It hasn't been easy, but it's been spiritual to the best of my ability. And I was still playing. I was implementing all these principles and these tools, and like I said, I mean, I don't want to cut myself short. I mean, I put a lot of effort and a lot of energy into living spiritually, and it's enhanced my life in a lot of different ways. So I don't want to sound like I'm diminishing the last 21 years. I'm just saying that I'm taking it to a whole nother level, and I think that that's what we're all supposed to do. It's time now. Let's just stop playing around and just really live the way we're supposed to live. And that's the attitude that I'm taking, is just going, come on, Glenn. I mean, are you, like if I'm honest with myself and go, okay, like even, I'll kind of overgeneralize just to make the point. So if I look at myself and I go, okay, in the last 10 years, have you really been living your best life? Not even close. Not even close. And in the last 10 years, I've experienced some absolutely amazing, remarkable things. And I've lived a really wonderful life in the last 10 years. Raising my son and just, the family court stuff being over, and, raising my son and doing all the things that we did. I mean, being a father was just, wow, awesome. So I have to mention that aspect of it, because that's by far the most wonderful chapter of my life, fatherhood. But also, and it continues to be so, but, raising my son and spending all that time with him and starting my business. I mean, my God, my business. How lucky am I to be able to work from home, to do what I love, to help other people? I mean, wow, So I've got that. Moving to Florida, which I wanted to be in the warm weather. Poof, I'm there, and then moving to the Dominican Republic, and then moving up into the mountains. Like, I mean, come on. The life I lived is fairy tale in a lot of ways, but that's all external stuff. If I'm honest, on a day-to-day basis, did I experience stress? Yeah. Most days I experienced levels of stress that were unnecessary. Have I gotten upset over things I shouldn't have gotten upset over? Yeah. Many, many times over the last 10 years. Like, that's the stuff that I'm talking about, just my quality of life. And what I found is, like I've talked about this before, double down on your spirituality, triple down on your spirituality, quadruple down on your spirituality. And I've been doing that, right? I've been trying to do that to the best of my ability. And a while ago, I just, like, it wasn't lost on me all these times before that I've said to you guys in my podcast, double down on your spirituality. And then a year later, I go, double down on your spirituality. And then 2 years later, I go, triple down on your spirituality. It wasn't lost on me that I was saying it like that. I don't think I've ever said this out loud, but I knew that I was repeating myself when I was saying that. And I meant it that way. That's why I said it that way. When I doubled down and then a year later, I said double down again, I meant double down on what you already doubled down on. Right? And I guess a little while ago, I finally got to the point after doubling down again, and then tripling down, and then quadrupling down, and then doubling down again, and then doubling down again. Eventually doing that over and over, I got to the point where, maybe I broke the 51% mark or something, where I just been like, I don't care, man. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about anything else except feeling love in my heart all day, every day, and doing whatever the hell is necessary to make that happen. Period. And when I get to that point, and now, do I Do I accomplish that? No. But things can still upset me every once in a while, but it's dramatically less. And it's not because I went through inner child purging or another workshop, or I did EMDR, or I tapped my way out of it, or any other tool that we can think of. I mean, don't get me wrong. I understand that we got to work through some of our childhood and early life and previous life traumas. Like yeah, we have to do some of that work, but we don't have to spend 20 years doing it. And we don't have to spend 10 years doing it. And we don't have to spend 5 years doing it. What we need to do is this. We need to monitor. If we are in the right space, then what happens, if we are walking around in the vibration of love, feeling love, thinking love, because that's what happens when we're vibrating at love. When we are in just a loving, good mood that we can induce ourselves by constantly thinking about God, constantly taking moments for 3 seconds to feel the love of God in your heart, and then doing it 30 minutes later to feel the love of God in your heart, and then doing it 15 minutes later, and having a reminder on your phone to bring you back into the present moment so you can feel that love. Just doing that all day, every day. And yes, you can do it even in your life. I understand that it's a little bit easier in mine, but like there are ways to do it. I did it. You know, I had moments of doing this when I was a single parent with my own business. I found ways. I didn't use it as an excuse. You know, I've got that reminder going off on my phone every hour now, whereas before it was every 3 hours or something. You know, and the bracelet's new, and the necklace that I'm wearing is new. Why? Because it reminds me. If I don't wear necklaces, and I'll switch wrists for the bracelet so it constantly feels new, because every time it grabs my consciousness, hey, what's that on my, oh yeah, that's right, I'm wearing a bracelet. Whenever that happens, that is a sign to me, connect to God. Feel that love in your heart, just even for a moment. Or maybe feel it and try to pull it into whatever you're doing. Oh, I'm writing a book. Well, how long can I write my book while feeling the love in my heart? How long can I brush my teeth while feeling the love in my heart? How long can I feel the love in my heart while I'm taking a shower, while I'm walking to the river? Everything, man. When I'm going to get in my car, like constantly. And that gets me in the vibration of love, the space of love. And then when I'm in the space of love, that controls my thinking, that controls my mood. Instead of controlling my thinking, I control the energy that I'm in, the space that I'm in. Do I feel safe and loved? No? Well, connect to the thing that provides safety and love, which is God. Oh, now I feel safe and loved. And look, something happened that I didn't like and I didn't get upset. Magic. Oh, I didn't spend 6 months or $32,000 on a freaking retreat to learn how to rewire my neural pathways. No, just stay connected to love, and your brain will automatically think loving thoughts. And then what happens? Your neural pathways get regenerated to love-based thoughts, all on their own. You didn't even have to pay for it. See, this is what if we monitor our space, if we walk through gratitude is another word that I want to bring in here, because gratitude is like a verb for love. Walking gratitude, think of things you're grateful for. Just feel love. Whatever you have to do to feel love as often as you can on a daily basis, do that. And then everything else takes care of itself. Your thoughts are more creative. They're more kind. They're more loving. And, once we label something or we process something in a particular way mentally, then it generates the emotion. So our emotions are taken care of too. If we take care of the space that we're in, we make sure we're in a good mood, thinking loving thoughts, feeling loving feelings, all this stuff, just love, love, love. And, before, I got to be honest with you, before I was so, oh, but I'm spiritual, I'm not religious. I had this fear of people like seeing me as this religious nut job. And I don't care anymore. I try to phrase things in certain ways so I can reach more people so they don't get turned off because I say the word God too much or something. I used to be so cautious of that, and I care less and less. I don't care because it's, if I say the word God and you think that I mean some guy with a white beard in the sky, whatever, that's your perception. And it's none of my business. And if you want to tune me out because I use that word, that's fine. Just if that just means that people are busy tuning people out because of certain words. Well, that word doesn't resonate with me. I don't care. It's, what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say resonate with love. I think if we stopped worrying about particular words and just tried understanding what people meant, we would do a lot better. And it's just, and here's where I'm going to wrap it up. That's because now I just saw the full circle. This is what I was talking about in the beginning about the religious teachings. This is why they are resonating more with me. Not because I'm hopping into some religion. It's just because I'm looking at the general principle and what they're talking about, and I'm looking at the meaning underneath. I mean, I've kind of always done that, but I'm upping my game and doing it more now. And it's fun to do with religious things because there's so much beautiful spiritual teachings in religion. And it's like, it's wonderful for me. I was raised Catholic, to go back to a lot of those teachings and be like, oh, and really feel connected to them. Not because I'm going back to the Catholic religion. I have no intention of doing that. Who knows what the future holds, but I have no intention of doing that. But what's beautiful to me is I can connect to so many more people and connect to so many more teachings because I'm seeing the beauty in the teachings and not worried about if I believe every little single thing or I believe their religious slant on it or their interpretation. I don't care somebody else's interpretation. It's my interpretation. My interpretation is deep. It's getting underneath. And I believe that that's where the truth is. I don't believe the truth is on the surface and specifics or stories or parables. Oh, he talked about fishing or he talked about carpentry, so therefore it's about carpenters. No, it's not. It's a symbol. So be love, be love, be love. Walk in that. And I'm telling you, if you just focus on this with everything that you have for, I don't know, depends where you are, I suppose, but like, let's just say 1 week. Just do an experiment. 1 week. Do everything that you can every single day for 7 days. And I guarantee you will notice a gigantic change in yourself, how you look at life, how you interpret things, how much joy you experience. I guarantee it. 7 days. I mean, I'm guessing it's probably around the 3 or 4 day mark. A lot of people will start really noticing a big difference. But give it 1 week. What do you got to lose? The recovery saying, we'll gladly refund your misery. If you're walking through life half stressed out time or not really living your best life, that's a good enough reason. Don't wait until you're suffering to make the change. If you're just getting by, that ain't good enough for you. You deserve better. So go out there, do it. Let me know how it works for you. All right. Peace. I'm gonna wrap up and get out of here for the night. Peace.